with your new friend Ty.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Tea Party Podcast. It's the podcast where you find new friends and new music. This week is a little bit different as we have an episode recorded live at WATERSHED Festival at the Gorge last weekend. And as always, I'm your host, Ty, but this week I am joined by a special guest, our Tea Party business manager and my wife, Kayla. Kayla, what's up?
Hey, nothing much. Happy to be here. Dragged my feet long enough, so finally time.
I know you spent enough money on all of this recording equipment. It's nice that you finally get to use it for the first time. So this week's episode, guys, is brought to you by Farm Jam Festival, a real farm with real people and real music. I'll be emceeing that festival up in Colville Labor Day weekend with the help of our friend DJ Twangers. This year, it is an incredible lineup. Friday night, you've got Brandon Jackson Band, Colby Acuff, a bunch of other artists. On Saturday, the War Hippies and Rodney Atkins. And then on Sunday, Carson Peters, Sean Stemley. Closing out the festival, the Cadillac 3, Sunday night, over 15 artists on one stage over 3 days out there in the middle of a field in Colville. You don't get much more country music than that. And if you want to go, you don't have your tickets yet, you can save 25% by using the code TEAPARTY at checkout. I'll be there. The producer, Travis, he'll be there holding water bottles backstage. But also, Kayla, you're going to be there. This will be your third time there. We're hanging out at the tent. You'll be hanging out at the tent all weekend, passing out stickers, getting people to, maybe sign up for a giveaway. Maybe we want to give something away.
Ooh, that'd be exciting.
Well, you guys will have to come visit us, see what we got going on at that tent at Farm Jam. Okay, guys, we tried something new at WATERSHED this year. We had a fantastic camping spot right behind Shedderville, basically 2 rows from the entrance gate. So we figured, why not try and record an episode live on location with a bunch of Shedders answering our first 4 and our final 4. We had all sorts of people stop by. Some of the answers were great. Some of them were awesome, but not appropriate for air. And then we had some special guests stop by. Brian O'Connell, or as Shedders know him, BOC. He stopped by for a chat for a little while. Also, Andrew, or as you might know him, the Speedo guy, he stopped by to give us the Speedo origin story, as well as break our hearts with some news about his future at WATERSHED Festival. But I think it's time maybe just to jump right into the first 4. But I think it's time to tee off on today's episode.
It's time to tee off with Ty. Here comes the first 4.
We asked these questions to a bunch of random people. And like I said, not every answer was great or usable, but we've got some really good ones here. We're excited to share them. But along with that, we want to make sure that we answer these questions too. I never get a chance to answer these. This is your first time being here. I feel like you have to answer them. So we'll just jump right into the first question of the first 4. It's the same as always. Would you rather be the funniest or the smartest person in a room, and why, Kayla?
I would have to go with the smartest in the room. I am never the one to be comedic relief. That I leave up to you, Ty. So I don't think that I would fill those shoes very well. So I think just taking that smartest person in the room, drop a bit of knowledge.
Oh, you're not going to like my answer at all. Full disclosure, we answered these earlier separately. So for me, I want to be the funniest person in the room, but not because I want to be the funniest person, but because if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. I'm a big believer of lifelong learning, to the irritation of most people in my life, if we're being honest. But, we got some pretty interesting answers at camp as well.
Probably the smartest person, because when you're the smartest person, there's just unlimited things to talk about, and you could just pull up random facts out of nowhere, and it's just sparks up an instant conversation about anything.
Absolutely the funniest, because I'm already the funniest. Why would I change my life?
I would rather be the smartest person, because I think you can teach people different things, but also if you're smart, you can also be funny and make people laugh.
Probably funniest, because smart people scare me.
I'd rather be the funniest, because I love when people laugh at my joke.
I'd rather be the smartest person in the room, because then I would feel superior and better than everybody. And I'm very competitive, so.
I don't know. I feel like a funny person can do a lot in a room of anybody. I mean, anybody they're around. I'd have to go with funny, because, they're the most personable. They can act the most smart, right? I feel like they can get there. Somebody funny can convince people. They can talk to people. They can debate. Yeah, I'd go with funny. I'm here for funny.
There's some really good answers in there. I especially like the answer, I want to be the funniest, because why would I change anything about myself? This is very watershed worthy answers there, I think, for sure. So second question that we went out there and asked everybody, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? For me, I'm an ADHD eater, so I feel like that might change for me depending on when you ask me the question. But recently I rediscovered this little burrito shop by our house, and it has the best tacos I have had in my entire life. And I know everybody's like, ooh, tacos, great. I have had probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 or 30 of these little street tacos in the last week. And I know I'm going to butcher this. I took 2 years of Japanese in high school. I should have taken Spanish as an adult. I understand that. But I think they're called adobada tacos. If I'm wrong, somebody please feel free to correct me. But Kayla, how about you? What's the one food that you're going to eat forever?
Well, now I just feel silly because, of course, I would go with tacos. I mean, but that's already been my favorite food. So you kind of just stole mine.
Welcome to married life. But now it's time to ask everybody else. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Probably chicken Alfredo. High protein, a lot of carbs. Great pregame meal.
Absolutely steak. Steak is my favorite food. There's so many different ways to prepare it, and it's very good for you.
Brisket, the way I cook it. Shit's expensive. Like it's like during bullshit COVID, it was like what, like $8-9 a pound. Yeah, meat's money.
Mac and cheese.
Okay.
Any type, any cheese, don't care.
Does beer count? If beer's that's not a food group. Boy, if I could eat one, I'm gonna say Chicago Italian beef.
Breakfast burritos.
Steak and taters. Good country dinner.
Tacos. All the tacos. All the tacos. Every taco.
Let's see. We got to go with something proteiny, something sustainable. One food. I got to go, I don't know, spaghetti. I'll go with spaghetti. I mean, you got pasta. You got meat. I mean, you got meatballs. You got protein. You got pasta. You got carbs. And you're going. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Solid answer.
Final answer. Pasta, for sure. But now I'm hungry, and we're only, 2 questions into this dang thing, and all I want is those freaking tacos now. That's it. If somebody wants to send those our way, you could do that.
Chicago sounds real good. Now it wasn't even on my mind.
And for those of you listening with the acute hearing there, that was BOC with maybe the best answer out of all of those for this one. So moving on now, question number 3. We've asked all of our guests probably 50 times now this next question, but there's something about a music festival that must just scream, save me, Superman. So Kayla, what fictional character would you bring to life?
Lily from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, okay. Why Lily?
I don't know. There's something about her energy. I just feel like it would be a fun day just hanging out with her. I feel like she'd drop some wisdom. I always loved her relationship with Marshall, so I feel like she'd have some insight onto what made them last and thrive and be so awesome.
When I answered this question, I don't know, a few episodes ago for Tana Matz, who kind of caught me off guard, and I just said Leslie Knope because we were in the process of watching Parks and Rec, and it's not that I regret that answer, but I've had a lot of time to think about it, and then we had somebody ask us to define the word fiction for them at Watershed. So I want to change my mind to the one and only Chris Gaines, because Garth Brooks is probably the coolest guy in country music. So his alter ego has got to be a good time. You're rolling your eyes at me about Chris Gaines.
So of a real person actually count as a fictional character? Like he was a real person. He existed in reality. So that's gray. And I don't know if that counts.
Can I go hang out with Tom Hanks's character in an airport? Could I have picked him? I can't pick any actors? Yeah, like the terminal guy. I can go hang out with
from the terminal. You can't pick Tom Hanks acting like his character.
No, I picked Chris Gaines, not Garth Brooks acting like Chris Gaines. Okay, we're going to go settle this. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit here from the crowd.
Doodle Bob from the SpongeBob episode where he drew the 2D SpongeBob. Yeah, Doodle Bob for sure.
I don't know, just Batman.
Oh, Spider-Man.
I think I would bring to life Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, or maybe Han Solo from Star Wars. I think Han Solo from Star Wars. I think he would have good stories, and I think it'd be a very entertaining person to talk to.
Batman.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Probably Captain America. It's because he's good looking.
Captain America, probably because he's good looking. Apparently the best good looking fictional character in the history of the world, even though there's 47 different versions of Captain America. Let's just move on to the final question of the first four with that one. And this is one we thought that we would get a lot of unique answers, but people kind of avoided answering this one directly. If you could have an unlimited supply of anything, Kayla, other than money, what would it be?
Battling this between Disneyland tickets and unlimited concert tickets. Don't want to go short supply on either of those ever.
You got to pick one though. You can't have both. There's no concerts at Disneyland.
Yes, if I have to pick one curveball, I will pick concert tickets just to keep the magic of Disneyland.
That's fair. I feel like you can get an unlimited supply of Disneyland just by buying one of those season passes, and then eventually it gets old, I assume, just like everything else. Maybe. I don't know. It's Disneyland. For me though, I feel like the answer is kind of obvious for anybody that came to our tent or found me at any point on the festival grounds during Watershed. I want an unlimited supply of liquid death. I drank 100 cans at Watershed. I drank another 50 cans or so at our first stop on the summer festival tour at Headwaters. And I'm probably going to drink another 75 at Farm Jam on Labor Day weekend. So if Liquid Death is looking for a new podcast to sponsor, unlimited liquid death is most definitely my answer. But what did everybody else want to have an unlimited supply of?
Can I say hockey talent? Limited supply of hockey talent? Make the show? Yeah, I'd want that. Have some Bedsy release. I'd want a Bedsy release.
I would have an unlimited supply of CDs or vinyl records, so I could listen to music, all kinds of music for the rest of my life and not have to track it down. There's so many different genres, and there's a lot you can learn from music, but also listening to it is, I love music so much.
Toyotas, trucks, 4Runners.
Probably just like happiness, like in love, right? Just embrace it on other people.
Coors Light, baby, all day.
They've got it figured out. Coors Light all day may be the most Watershed answer of this entire podcast. There was a theme here when we were talking to people. Lots of people enjoyed an ice cold Rocky Mountain refreshing Coors Light. But that was the first four presented by Boxer Fighting Hockey Apparel. Find their whole selection and collection of Northwest signature hockey apparel at b4fhockey.com. And we mentioned it off the top that BOC and our friend, the Speedo guy, Andrew, stopped by. We've peppered some of their answers throughout the episode, but we wanted to give Andrew a chance to stop by and tell the origin story of the Speedo in its entirety.
I'm Andrew the Speedo guy, big red beard, you can't miss me, walking around on my shitty cooler backpack and my nice ass hanging out every day. Well, I like to live life to the fullest. So how the Speedo guy came to happen at Watershed was in 2018. I was going to wear my Shinesty American flag outfit and have a fun time. I had my shirts and so forth. And it was really hot that year. And I had boots too. So I wore cowboy boots. I wore red shorts. There's a picture of me on social media, still of this image with me and some older guys entering the venue next to 99 The Bull when that was still around. No more country station in Seattle besides The Wolf, who will talk about me on the radio but won't DM me on Instagram. I have to DM them to get a hold of them or call them, say, hey, you're talking about me? Like, yeah. I'm like, we'll be in the afternoon. All right, so why don't you just get a hold of me like you're supposed to, radio stations. No offense, hashtag do your job. So that ended up being a hot year, and so what I did is I had a fun Texas Speedo that I bought just for shits and giggles in Austin, and I have it. I only wear it on Sundays. Everyone knows what it is. It's the Texas flag on my member, and so I was really hot, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wear this. And then I walked around, and everyone's like, what is he wearing? What the fuck is this guy? Is this guy wearing clothes? And then Shinesty ended up making like Speedos, and I'm like, yo, how many do you have? And then so like I bought a few first of all, and then I realized like it's always hot out here in Eastern Washington. It's not cold at all, and so what I did was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just walk around a Speedo all day, and I can't sit still like everyone here at campsite. It's like Tea Party. They can just chill and have some beverages, but I like to walk around. No offense, Tea Party, but this is a chill spot. Also, I miss the old rig, but if you can't miss it, it is red and black, and it's still awesome. Go Eags. But I like walking around. I don't sit still, and I learned that because my parents had property over here. Like, you can't just sit still and do nothing in the Eastern Washington. So I ended up buying 10 Speedos from Shinesty, and then 10 became 15, and now I have like 45 Speedos. I have my Sunday best. I only wear Sundays, but I probably change like maybe throughout the day, maybe 2 or 3 different Speedos, because like I'll take a shower on my campground since I'm bougie Oasis, and so they have now cold showers this year. So now I've taken like 4 cold showers a day already. I've already switched out on my. This is my first Speedo of the day. It's American flag one, has a bald eagle flipping you off of my butt, and then I might change out to something else yet. I haven't decided yet. My most controversial Speedo I have is probably Bill Clinton giving the finger out like right at my junk, and so it's like. But other than that, like how Speedo guy came about is like I just kept walking around, and I just get pictures, and like everyone knew me. I was like the nice, polite person I am today, and like I've seen Tea Party come by every day, like every year I come by Watershed, and I don't think I've never not missed them, and I've always loved what they do and how they do it all about. So Speedo guy it's his last year at Watershed.
Last year at Watershed for Andrew the Speedo guy, he's one of those iconic people that you see at Watershed. I mean, there's a group of folks that put up Shedderville that, you know, everybody kind of knows, but he wanders the campground and everybody knows who he is. There was a guy on social media this year that kept falling asleep at people's campsites. Maybe he is the new Speedo guy. Watershed this year kind of felt, I don't want to say that it felt full circle from the first time that we went, but it felt like everybody was finally together again. I mean, we've had these watersheds in the last few years where everybody's out there, but everybody's still kind of siloed. This year, the festival kind of felt complete, I guess is the right way to put it, at least from my side. What were your impressions of Watershed this year versus the previous years?
This Watershed felt a little bit more mellow. Might have been my lack of partying. Just took more on that liquid death route, following your footsteps. So I saw Watershed from different eyes this year, and I see what you're saying though. It felt very nice and almost relaxed coming back and out of the 2020s, going back to the older days of it.
Yeah, it was the first real Watershed that COVID just wasn't a concern at all. I mean, they've had Watershed the last couple of years, and there's still been kind of like a little COVID-y, I don't know, lackadaisicalness for lack of a better term, that people are just kind of complacent. But this year, everybody was back walking around. It seemed like everybody was happy. It was back to that community mindset where if somebody fell down, you picked them back up. A couple of negatives for us this year, at least from my perspective, was that the Next from Nashville tent, which is the big draw for us as a group, was significantly smaller than it had been in past years, but we found some incredible talent. There was a couple of folks that I was excited to see that you hadn't listened to yet, and they showed up. One of them, Ben Burgess, you haven't turned off since we got back from Watershed 2 weeks ago.
I have not. Oh my goodness. I didn't listen to him. You told me he had written whiskey glasses, and that's about all I knew. And just immediately, like, listening to him was just blown away by him as an artist. He's so very talented. So one of those key aspects of going to the Next from Nashville tent is finding new artists. That's, I think, the whole point of it.
Well, and it was really cool to see artists that we had seen on that stage playing the big stage in front of everybody. You know, Travis Denning, Lady Wilson. I mean, these are people that, you know, really started on that teeny tiny stage and couldn't eat. I don't want to say couldn't, but didn't fill that Next from Nashville tent. And then you see them out on the main stage. Lainey Wilson, I mean, stepped up as the headliner when Luke Bryan got sick and absolutely blew everybody away. And just a few years ago, she was playing to a couple hundred people at the Next from Nashville tent.
Shout out to Kylie Morgan too.
Kylie Morgan too.
On the main stage.
That's where half of our group went down there just to go see her specifically. The other half went to go see Travis Denning, and then we all got a chance to see Lainey Wilson close out the festival. But I think it's probably time to start heading in that direction with this episode. Time to start closing it out. And of course, we're going to do it the same way that we do every other episode. This time, though, the final four are watershed specific. At least most of them are.
It's time for the Final Four.
We started with a new question that I think might be added to our normal Final Four list just because it came with some really cool answers. And that question is, what is your favorite concert memory? You want me to go first? You want to take this one? Yeah, I mean, mine's going to be better than yours. It's just a fact.
Probably.
So this one was tough for me. Probably tough for you as well, just because we've seen so many different artists, probably hundreds of artists live at this point, and they're all unique. And there's definitely some that jump out at me as being the worst shows that I've been to or the worst performances. But the one that immediately jumps to my mind is actually a watershed story. It's the very first watershed that the Tea Party group ever went to. It was my first watershed in 2016. And in the early years, you didn't come to this festival. So I was just stuck wandering around the festival by myself as the rest of the crew was kind of doing their own thing. I say that they made me do it. Really, I just, sometimes just want to be alone in a situation like that. So I walked away. It's the final act of the weekend. It's Keith Urban up on stage. So what do? I'm like, okay, let's go down to the pit. I'm going to stand at the back of the pit, just take in this experience. It was my first time at the Gorge, first time at Watershed. So I get down there and then I realize that there's a second stage out in the crowd, something that Keith is obviously going to go to at some point. So I'm like, okay, I'll be close to that stage so that I can get a picture of him up on the stage. It'll be pretty cool because I'm out there, in the crowd for this final moment of Watershed. And he was up on the stage. And as I was standing there, I noticed a lot of security had started building a line back towards the stage through the pit. They were clearing the crowd, obviously making way for him to get back to the stage. So I saw him get off the stage. I stood next to one of the security guards, turned around, and I was just going to get a selfie as he walked past. And just as I was about to click the button, I get a hand on my shoulder and a little whisper in my ear. Hey, bud, you having a good time? As Keith Urban stands right there, poses for the selfie with me, and then runs away. It's a fever dream for me at this point because literally when I hit take on the picture, my phone died. I had 2% battery left. And any of you Android owners out there know that if you have less than 5%, you can't open up your phone camera. So I took the picture on Snapchat and I wasn't sure if it had actually saved. And I had all of this adrenaline in me and I ran from the bottom pit of the gorge all the way back up to the main gate. I'm still not sure how I did it. If anybody's seen me, I'm not. You probably have the same questions as how did this man get from the bottom to the top running? Luckily, we had another good location for our RV that year. So came out of the gates, took a right. We were like 4 RVs in, laid down, passed out till the rest of the crew got there. And I could show them the story. And I remember one person in the group, I'm not going to drop their name, but I remember them specifically looking at the picture and going, that's the ugliest blonde girl I've ever seen. Your wife is going to be so mad. And it's quite possibly the worst picture that Keith Urban or I have ever taken, but it's going to live on forever. Now it's become a yearly Watershed story. So I told you that you were going to have a hard time topping that, Kayla, but what's your favorite concert memory?
Okay, probably will be a hard time topping it. I'm going to keep on theme because I do have 2 memories that come to mind.
Two of them,
but I'm going to keep theme with Tea Party. So I think the one that stands out to me is fairly recently, actually last year at the fair. It was the first time we had the entire Tea Party crew, including our kiddo with us, to go see Cole Swindell. He fell in love with Cole Swindell's music. And so it was his first big concert with the whole group. And when Cole was singing
the Jody Messina one?
Yes, that one. Thank you. Cole took over the concert with that song. Everybody in the group was singing together, dancing a bit even, and it was just nice to have everybody all at once, just partying. And that was right after we had come back from Las Vegas. So it was just that perfect memory.
I mean, that's a good memory to have. I would agree with you on that one. But let's see what everybody else out there said for their favorite concert memory.
My favorite concert memory is, I was here at WATERSHED for Florida Georgia Line, and I missed it by the second song because I passed out, fell down the hill, rolled down the hill, and I got escorted out. But the best part is, everybody that was with me that helped me get out, I had the keys to my camper wrapped around my neck, and I wouldn't let them open my camper because the keys were on my neck, not their neck.
I've seen Old Dominion about 5 or 6 times. They're my favorite. And one time I got, I won a contest and I got to meet them. That was crazy.
My favorite concert memory, boy, that's a tough one asking me that question, because that's probably 10,000 concerts minimum. Boy, you know what? Would probably be the last one that I went to that really would be out of genre for me. I went and saw Paul McCartney in Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah, it was a great show.
Okay, last year we were in front row for Morgan Wallen for WATERSHED at the Gorge, and we left to get a drink like an hour beforehand, and then we weren't allowed back in after we got the drink, and then everybody pushed us forward when we said, hey, security won't let us through, and then we almost got arrested for pushing forward, but it was only because everybody else pushed us forward.
Probably meeting Big and Rich my first year and crying, like you guys say. Your music saved my life. And I was in middle school, The Horse Different Color came out, and that album was everything about it made sense. And so I told BOC, who's the guy who made WATERSHED happen, and he's done other festivals. And so I personally the memory of Big and Rich. I got a selfie with them with Cowboy Troy. Hands down, I cried a little bit.
If you were listening closely there, you might have picked up on BOC and his 10,000 concerts minimum. I think Paul McCartney is a good answer for that. But the next question for us is a bit hard for you and I to answer just because WATERSHED's over and done with. But we asked everybody, what are you most excited to see at WATERSHED? And for me, it's always the Next from Nashville tent. I know the question was, who are you most excited for? But to me, it's anybody that jumps on that smaller stage. I hate to call it a side stage because for us, it's kind of the main attraction. But I would spend my entire weekend there if I could, discovering new artists. But it's pretty cool, like we talked about, to see artists that you've seen on that stage, like Travis Denning and Kylie Morgan and Lainey Wilson, hitting that main stage after playing the smaller tent.
I was super excited to see Travis Denning. So in 2019, we saw him at the Next from Nashville tent and then ended up at a private concert off on the backstage area at WATERSHED. And so to be able just to see him at 3 different locations at WATERSHED, it's a pretty cool thing to be able to say.
I mean, it really was. When we saw him out. He was just playing for 20 people on the grass overlooking the gorge. Gorgeous. I see what you did there. This question's a little bit hard for us to answer. And we tried to get BOC to answer this one because he had been to 10,000 concerts and he just would not bite on that one. But there's a lot of heartbreak in these answers.
Luke Bryan. I'm going to go to Cancun for his Crash My Playa music festival.
Luke Bryan, of course. Of course. I love Luke Bryan. I grew up on it.
Probably Luke Bryan and Cody Johnson.
So that's a toss-up because I saw her at Fashion Horses, and she's a up-and-coming female artist. Her name is Madeline Edwards. She'll be at Next from Nashville. Beautiful gal, gorgeous. She's from Texas. She's a real cowgirl. I follow her on her Instagram and so forth. Her husband, her are adorable. I want to do a freedom funnel with her, which is, if you don't know what it is it's made in America. It's a bald eagle, but it's a beer bong. You drink out the tail, you put it in the center of the eagle. So my goal is to have her and I do that. That's my goal. I would honestly love to get close to see Cody and throw up a bald eagle to him and not get arrested for it. Other than that
was an answer that we could not share with everybody. But overall, I mean, there's lots of Luke Bryan. And if you're not aware, WATERSHED was a string of shows that Luke had to cancel recently due to an illness, which is way outside of the realm of Luke Bryan. Typically he'll make the show happen. And I love Luke's early stuff, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't stoked to watch Lainey Wilson close down the entire festival, a spot that I think we all agree she probably should have been in to begin with.
Oh, for sure. It was amazing.
So these last two questions are two of my favorites because we got so many unique answers. So let's start with you, Kayla. What 3 things would you bring to Watershed?
I would bring cold brew coffee, my friends, and our RV.
Important things. Those are definitely important. For me, I think the first answer is easy. It's liquid death. Without it, I would be dead. My phone so that I can take pictures, record interviews, capture the memories that we're making, and not record concert videos. If you're recording the concert and you're sending them to people on Snapchat, stop it. Everybody that gets those videos hates you, and we talk about it behind your back. And the third thing is air conditioning. Liquid death, my phone, air conditioning. You can put me in a tent as long as the tent has air conditioning. But let us know on Facebook or Instagram if you could only bring 3 things to Watershed, what would they be? Here's what the Shedders told us.
I don't even think I brought 3 things total here. But definitely, and I'm gonna take a page out of my girl's book here. It's gonna be tequila. I'm gonna add one. Okay, it's whiskey. Gotta have whiskey. And what's on the grill right now? Tacos. That's all you need. If I could do a 4th, it's gonna be the swimming pool because you gotta have that.
Beer, and my wife.
Alcohol, my babe, and a fun group of people.
Water, alcohol, and protein. The 3 things you need.
I would bring patience. I would bring as much Coors Light as I possibly could fit into my vehicle, and more ice than I needed so I could help my neighbors out when they ran out.
Double the alcohol I thought I needed. AC. And the third thing would be like pillows on my feet. Like you're walking 20 miles a day, whether you like it or not. No matter what shoes you bring better ones.
Teas, Tito's, and water.
Sunscreen, alcohol, a hat.
Water bottles. Water. I'm going to bring water. You got to have your hydration. I'm going to bring booze. Water and booze. And I'm going to bring Uncrustables. Sandwiches. PB&Js.
There's entirely too much food in this episode for us to be recording it while we're waiting for dinner to finish cooking. But we have officially reached the final episode or the final question of this episode, and it's got some great answers. If you're planning on going to Watershed in the future, you're only going to listen to part of this episode. Make sure this is the part that you listen to. It concludes with some of the best advice from head shedder BOC. But Kayla, if you could give one piece of advice to a future shedder, what would it be?
Go to the Next from Nashville tent. Even if you know nobody on the roster or the lineup for it, just go spend some time. It starts before the headliners start. There's no excuse not to at least stop by it and catch at least a show a day. Do it.
That's way better than the answer that I have. Like, listen, I love new shedders. Everybody is new once. But listen to the elder shedders in this next clip. Bring twice as much water as you need. Don't be an asshole. Don't ruin the good time for everybody else because you want to be the center of attention. Listen to this advice from the shedders, including from BOC, because when you come to the party, everybody is welcome. Just don't be an asshole.
Here's the only thing. And if you're coming here, you know what you're getting into. So you either bring a good time or you get the hell out.
Don't camp in overseas, whatever, general, and bring twice as much alcohol as you planned on.
Of course it'd be drink enough water.
If this is going to be your first Watershed ever and the forecast says 110, go to Costco, get 10 cases of water, get a truck bed as 8-foot bed, and then make sure you want to get two Igloo American-made coolers, fill both those with water, and then one of them you want to have another cooler that's going to be filled with vitamin water. The rest of your coolers, you can do a mixture of your bitch beer, of White Claws or Trulies. Then you'd have your good twisted teas and your deliciousness. And then for mixtures, I always suggest peach whiskey and tequila. Right now I'm sipping on tequila and Sprite and some cocktail mixture I made.
Be prepared for anything. This is the second time now that something out of the blue has happened. Our CO2 monitor went out today, so it was beeping for like an hour. So yeah, just be ready for anything. Last year we didn't have any oil for our generator.
I gotta say, drink your water Hydrate. I mean, it's hot out here. You're drinking a bunch. Everybody's drinking a bunch. Just drink your water.
The one piece of advice is don't take it for granted. Don't take Watershed for granted. In other words, don't be an asshole. Come here and be cool and be nice to and meet people and get involved in the community.
You heard it from the man himself. Kayla, what did BOC say? Don't be an asshole. It's pretty simple. Really, those are just good. It's a good rule for life, but especially when you're crammed into a small venue like that, small, quote unquote, with 35,000 of your closest friends. Just be nice. It's going to make everybody's week a lot better. And that's not just true for Watershed. That is true for every single festival out there, any event that you go to. Just be nice. Guys, we've got a lot of great stuff in the works. Several Farm Jam artists, several Farm Jam themed episodes coming your way super soon. We are under 3 weeks from the party in Colville. Be sure to like us on Facebook at Tea Party Podcast or follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Radio Guy Ty and see some of the behind the scenes. We're going to be posting a lot of extra content this year. We officially have a tiny mic, so we'll be doing tiny mic interviews all over the festival. Stop by our tent. And if you're still looking for those tickets, use code Tea Party to get 25% off your Farm Jam tickets for Labor Day weekend. Friends, that was another episode of the Tea Party Podcast. It's the podcast where you find new friends and new music.
Go tee off on the like button at facebook.com/Tea Party Podcast.
This has been a Tea Party Communications production. Theme music created by Jesse Quandt. Announcer voiceovers by Jay Gwinn. And as always, hosted by Ty Pisani.